Movies are great. Well, movies were great. Sometimes. Who am I kidding? 90% of movies suck just like 90% of everything else sucks. But when they're good, holy shit are they good. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to talk about the magic of cinema and how it can whisk us away to verdant vistas of creative genius and immerse us in worlds of pure imagination. I'm here to talk about the conventions of cinema that make me want to curl into the fetal position and stab my own eyes out with a pair of cuticle scissors. Here's 21 things I hate about movies. Forced love stories. I don't mind a love story when it makes sense for the movie, but a lot of movies definitely shoehorn them in just to tick romance on the lazy Hollywood story writing checklist. Often the characters that we're supposed to believe are in love share little screen time and have zero chemistry, but they're in love because some fat-ass studio executive thinks a forced romance might put a few more female asses in theater seats. Like anyone gives a shit if Thor didn't want to bang Natalie Portman. I mean, would Avengers 2 be diminished if the Hulk wasn't fucking Black Widow? Would the Hobbit trilogy just not have worked if the stupid elf-dwarf love triangle wasn't in it? I mean, it didn't work anyway, but, you know, that shit certainly didn't help. Your ally is the villain. I hate this trope. Hey, it turns out that our trusted ally, who looks and talks evil, is the villain, or is working for the villain. This plot twist can be done well, but usually it's so telegraphed that all you can do is shake your head in disbelief that you're seeing it yet again. Unfunny comic relief characters. The most obvious example is, of course, say it with me, Jar Jar Binks. The sad thing is, Star Wars never needed a comedy relief. The reason that it's called a relief is because it's supposed to be a funny character in a movie that's not really a comedy. You know, it's relief from the lack of comedy. Get it? That's why relief. It's in what it's for is right there in what it's called. It's like being confused by what a lawnmower is supposed to do. Oh, it mows lawns? Go fucking figure. I thought you used it to brush your fucking teeth. Star Wars is already fun. It didn't need some weird racist caricature who just talks shuck and jive annoying gibberish. Nor did Superman need to be teamed up with Richard Pryor. These goofy comic sidekick characters just need to go away. Either that or they need to be done well, which rarely seems to happen. This sky beam portal bullshit. Enough already. It was impressive once, but now it's the most boring shit that your movie could possibly do. Avengers, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Fan Four Stick. Stop. For the love of God, we have fucking seen it. PC casting quotas. I don't have a problem with a person of color being cast into a role that has been traditionally white, but I hate when a big deal is made about it. Like everyone's supposed to treat it like it's this profound act of defiance against racism. Pat the studio on the back, everybody. Get used to it, racists in your face. Reboots and sequels. I think this is self-explanatory. We want new ideas. Stop giving us retreads of the same shit. We want novelty. Give us something new. Over and under acting. Which is worse? I think underacting. At least a cheesy, over-the-top performance is kind of a spectacle. An underwhelming performance is just boring. One of the worst directors for getting these kinds of performances out of actors is M. Night Shyamalan. All of his actors sound like they're on Valium.
What's the matter?
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Pointless end credit scenes. After credit scenes used to be used sparingly, as an occasional treat, for those who waited through the tedious credits, where everyone who dropped off a coffee is credited for their part in the film. You know, now, though, I mean, it's just oftentimes these post-credit scenes are just there because they're expected to be there, and it's becoming increasingly rare to see one that's worth slogging through the credits for. And speaking of credits, have you ever watched an old movie and noticed that movie credits used to be a lot shorter? That's because they used to just credit the key people involved in the film. You know, the director, the actors, the editor, the music, the special effects, the makeup, the wardrobe. They didn't credit every single person who worked on the film. They credited the people who were in charge of major departments, major fucking parts of the film. They didn't credit every fucking extra that walked by the camera for 3 seconds, or the guy who did the catering, or the electricians who made sure all the lights turned on, or the fucking boom mic operator. Can we go back to the old ways, please? I understand that all the people in the credits did their jobs and worked hard and all that jazz, but no one fucking cares who painted the T-Rex's nutsack in Jurassic Park 3. Fuck. Bad sound mixing.
You ever been watching a movie and it's so fucking loud it feels like it's gonna split your ears?
So you turn it down to a comfortable level, and then the next scene is so quiet you can't even make out the dialogue? That's bad sound mixing. Another terrible bit of sound mixing is when dialogue is drowned out under the score or under the sound effects. Why is this so fucking hard for huge studio productions? I've seen movies that cost hundreds of millions of dollars that can't mix their fucking audio right. I mean, I understand I'm not always the best with audio myself, but I'm just a YouTuber. I'm doing this all myself. These are big, major studio productions with huge budgets. Bloated runtimes. I can't tell you how many movies I've seen that would have been right at home around the 90-minute mark, but they just inexplicably want to be 2 or even 3-hour movies. Peter Jackson's King Kong. Or, and I'm sorry to pick on Peter Jackson, but those Hobbit movies were begging to be 2 films instead of 3. Or any of those Transformer movies. Listen, a big, dumb action movie only needs to be about an hour and a half. Hour and 45 tops. The only time you need a 3-hour movie is if you're making a sprawling epic or a really, really solid drama. There's so much filler in some films that you could cut more than you leave, and you'd end up with a better movie. Time travel plots. I'm not saying these can't be done right, but oftentimes they're just head scratchers that make literally no fucking sense. Usually it's the grandfather paradox that messes everything up. Now, if a movie is really good, you might not care about the time travel nonsense. But movies like The Butterfly Effect are so rife with paradoxes and things that just outright don't make a lick of sense no matter how you try to listen to it, view it, whatever, that you just wish you could go back in time to prevent them from being made. Movie poverty. I hate when a character who is supposed to be poor lives in a large, well-furnished house or apartment. Actresses who won't act because they wouldn't be so gosh darn pretty then, would they? I was watching Jennifer Connelly in Nostalgia Critic's review of Ang Lee's Hulk, which I don't think is nearly as bad as most people do, by the way. And Doug Walker kept highlighting just how crazily underwhelming Connelly's performance was. And I realized that the reason why is because in order to act, you have to contort your face. And if she did that, she might not look as pretty. I've seen it in other films too. Actresses refusing to be emotive because if they did, they wouldn't look like they're on the cover of Vogue. Well, if that's the case, go become a fucking model, because the purpose of an actress is to act. Generic, bland, I am evil villains. You know what makes a great villain? When their motivations make sense and are something beyond just, "Mwahaha, I'm evil." The Marvel movies are really fucking bad about this. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, great movie, but the villain sucked. I refuse to even look up his name. He was just evil to be evil, and he's not alone. There's too many guys in films today that are just bad for the sake of being bad because the hero needs somebody to punch on. So let's not bother to write a character with motivation. Let's just say, oh, he's bad because he's bad. You know, he wants to destroy the world because he hates people and stuff, and it gives him a big old boner to just make people suffer. It's not a good reason. It's not a good fucking reason. Villains in real life tend to have reasons why they do what they do. They want power, or they want something. There's some sort of objective. There's some sort of fucking reason. Usually you can even sympathize with what the villain wants, or at least understand it. Plots where the hero caused the problem that they're solving. Hey guys, let's read from this creepy old book. Let's read the secret incantation. Let's violate the mummy's tomb. Who cares about the curse? That's hogwash. I hate when the protagonist of the film is also the catalyst for the film's dilemma. My problem with this trope is that it's hard to view someone as a hero, at least for me, when they're just cleaning up their own mess. And every death that happens along the way is just someone who would still be alive if the hero didn't do something stupid in the first act. Movies that undermine their own morals. Let me give you an example. The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger is basically a screed against cloning that wraps up with a clone saving the day and realizing that he's no less of a person just because he's a clone. Or think about Shallow Hal, where the message is don't judge by appearances, but it actually goes too far and portrays anyone who is conventionally attractive as a terrible person inside. Thus, it is judging people based on appearances, just in the other direction. There are many more examples, of course, and personally, I'd say you could avoid this by not making movies with dumb, tacked-on morals. But if you're gonna have a moral in a movie, at the very fucking least, have the decency and intelligence to make sure that the film itself adheres to that moral. Editing tricks substituting for stunt work. I hate when something that should have been achieved with stunts is instead achieved with shitty editing. The most famous example is probably Liam Neeson needing like 80 cuts in 7 seconds to get over a fucking fence. What are you doing? Just put a guy in a Liam Neeson wig and have him jump the fence. Fuck. Another movie that's terrible about this is the fourth Pirates movie, which caused me to not even see the fifth. Rampant, and I mean fucking rampant, overuse of CG. My rule of thumb with CG in films is this: if you can achieve something with practical effects, you should. CG should be used only when using practical effects is impossible. I look at old films like The Thing and imagine just how awful the creature effects would look if they were CG. Wait, I actually don't have to imagine. I repress the memory of that terrible prequel they made in 2011. I mean, look at Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, or Morla the Ancient One from The Neverending Story. These movies are both over 30 years old, and if they remade them today, both of these characters would look worse. Unconvincing, textured, weightless, fucking not really there, obviously fluff. Bullshit. Like glorified cartoon characters, like a worse Uncanny Valley version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and that's fucking sad. Why has the quality of special effects gone down in the last 30 years? It's dog shit. And fuck James Cameron, who told us with a straight face that, oh, you look at the aliens from Avatar, you'd never be able to tell that they weren't real. Fuck you, they look like giant Smurfs. Suck my fucking dick. Demythologizing stories. Russell Crowe's Robin Hood. The Rock's Hercules. Clive Owens's King Arthur. Why do these movies exist? The cool thing about Robin Hood is that he steals from the rich and gives to the poor. To subtract that from him just makes him a doofus with a bow and arrow. The cool thing about Hercules is that he's super strong and he's the son of a god. You take that away from him and he's just another big muscular dude in a toga. King Arthur, supposed to preside over a kingdom of magic, not just some random shithole, no more special than anywhere else under the sun. Why does Hollywood think we want these movies? Why not make a Superman movie where Superman is just a dude that can jump kinda high and he can bench press a little more than you'd expect? Movies should not be about demythologizing. They should be about mythologizing. Especially when you're talking about these larger-than-life characters. Why do you want to take a larger-than-life character that's legendary and shrink them down to something as petty as a fucking human being? Doesn't make sense. Movie theaters. The theater-going experience is often awful. Overpriced tickets, overpriced food, chatty theater patrons, miles of commercials and trailers before the film starts, people's phones ringing, people's babies crying. The complaints are all well known. But I just want to say it definitely detracts from the allure of new films when you know you have to go somewhere kind of awful to see them. Look, I've only scratched the surface with this list. If you'd like to see a follow-up, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. And be sure to comment on this video, let me know what you thought, and share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and see you next time.